What's up, everybody? It's me, Rivah. I'm back again with another video. If you're new here, my name is Rivah, and I am here to give you guys my reaction to this video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. I received this video by one of my subscribers on Instagram, of course. And of course, I told them I would absolutely react to it. So here I am reacting to it. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. I have not seen this video. All I saw was the title, and I can imagine how this conversation is going to go. So let's jump right into it.
Real talk. I don't have a card collection. I don't drive cars. I don't do mountain climbing. I don't do parasailing. I don't. I like hanging out with people. And I had a party for my 40th birthday a year or so ago. And I remember at the birthday party, I was newly single because I had a girl for a little while. Didn't work out. But I remember at my 40th birthday party, I had a bunch of friends. People showed up. It was great. Shout out to Bodega in South Beach if you ever want to go. And I remember a friend coming up to me and being like, dude, Adam, you're 40, bro. You're killing it. You're making money. You're the freaking man. Like, hyping me up, gassing me up, right? You know, this, that, the other. He's like, yo, I want to be you. I was like, all right, respect, bro. And he goes, oh, is that so-and-so over there? I'm not going to say her name. I remember her from high school. What's she up to? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, he's like, is she married yet? I go, no, I don't think so. He goes, man, feel bad for her. And I go, well, what do you mean you feel bad for her? And he's like, and essentially he was like, at 40, a guy, you could be like a stud or a pimp or whatever kind of. And at 40 for a female, he was like, wah, wah. Whoa. And that made me feel horrible for her. And it kind of was, because I felt kind of weird at 40, single, whatever, successful. But there is a difference between a guy who's 40 and a girl who's 40. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Absolutely. Because at 40 for a woman.
Well, first I want to give my feelings on what he's saying, just so it doesn't seem like it's influenced by any of the conversation, because I haven't watched this video. We're watching it together. But I can understand why he's saying that. Like, for 40, for a woman, it's like, so did nobody want her? Like, nothing ever worked out for her? Like, what happened in life? You know what I'm saying? And for a guy, it's just like, oh, yeah, you're still cool. Like, you're still macho man, exercising whatever options you want to. You still a little player. Like, that's the mentality when it comes to men versus women, especially in the dating sector. And then sometimes, even if a woman is not necessarily having children at that time, but there's something about her being married that lets the world know that, like, she's wanted, right? Ultimately, so much so that somebody, committed to, in sickness and in health, be there for her. So I think that's why there's kind of like a stigma. Like, women are always supposed to be desired, whereas men are the ones who are choosing whether they want to be married, not wanting to be married, whether they want to live a bachelor life, or whether they want to kind of like have that family structure. So men are the ones who are choosing the options, choosing what they want, but women are the ones who are getting chosen. So it kind of looks like nobody chose you because maybe something's wrong with you.
It's basically over.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, guys
as far as having kids?
Guys are having kids, and like physically for most women, yeah. I mean, there's exceptions, sure, but that's not the rule. But as a 40-year-old guy, that, like, if you're doing pretty well, like, you could get married tomorrow with a 25-year-old, have 5 kids, and still have a whole life. That's just not the case biologically for women.
Yeah, that's true. Comments?
Yeah. I think it's sad, and also, in some way, I think it's embarrassing for women that are put in those situations, because how do you make it to 40 and not learn how to get along with a man? How do you make it that far and you just never pick up on cues? And sometimes these women have children, and that's great, and sometimes they don't have a man, but sometimes they don't have either which one. They're just absolutely by themselves. And so, like, is that a full life? Because, so they have girlfriends, that's great, but are all of those girlfriends single? Or are they also, like, married with children, or they have professions? It seems lonely to me, and I think women come out and they try to say that it's not, and I think it's a cope. You can see it on the TikTok pages. Like, look at me, I'm so happy, I'm drinking wine, and I'm 40, and I'm single. Well, but if you're so happy, why do you have to make your entire TikTok page and your identity about that?
I'm not gonna...
Well, I want to say 2 things. One, I could see why... I can definitely see why, just like on, the video I did with the beautiful woman talking about, you below average, and you talking about you want this man who's so fine. Are you fine? I could see why older women are going to be offended by this, because there's 2 younger women saying what older women are, going through, and what the reality is, and like nobody doesn't want them. And it can come off like, what? Like, wait till you get this age. You're going to hope that you know what I'm saying? And I think it sometimes can come off like holier than thou, higher than thou. Whereas like younger women are saying to older women like, oh yeah, like, you know, you're over 40, like it's downhill for you. And like the older women are like looking at this woman like, you better hope your marriage works out. You better hope that like you look this good at 40. You better be practicing what you're preaching because you're saying all this and it might be true. However, you know, this will be your reality because you are a woman. But going to what Pearl said, is absolutely true. I mean, as a man can be 50 years old, 60 years old, get with somebody who's 20 and still have children, you know, 70 years old and still have children. Them swimmers gonna swim. Okay? Whether it's, you know, rain or shine, them swimmers gonna swim. Okay? Whether he's 20, 30, 70 years old, he can still have a child. And biologically, as Pearl said, it's different for women. It's just genuinely different for women. Like, you have to explore other options, you know, surrogacy, sometimes IVF. Like, you have to just explore different options because our bodies can just not do it for the long haul. We definitely have like a time limit.
This girl's name, but I'll give a very clear example of someone that every time I'm like, damn you. She was one of the hottest girls in high school. Grew up, you know, in her 20s, guys were throwing themselves left and right. She had her pick of the litter. Mm-hmm. By 30, she was still out there in South Beach doing her thing, still didn't have a man, and then I didn't see her for many years, right? I think she lived in New York doing her thing. But then I ran into her, I don't know, maybe like 3-ish years ago, and she was in her late 30s, early 40s. Now, the dude that she was, like, the guys that were pursuing her, certified studs in their 20s or whatever, now, essentially, she's like, hey, what's up with your friend over there? And, like, this guy, I wouldn't say he's a stud. So now, the girl who was 21, 25, even 30, that had her pick of the litter, has to realize that at 40, the studs aren't exactly throwing themselves on her anymore. Well, that's something that a woman had to deal with. And I felt like so bad. I was like, and I told the guy, because I'm friends with the guy, because he was like, what's up? I was like, dude, you don't understand. In high school, college, she was like the hottest chick. He was like, yeah, but that's 20 years ago, bro.
But what?
And he's right. You know, he's absolutely right about that. Like, the girls who, and it's so funny. I have a quick story too. It's so funny because there was somebody that I knew. I don't want to bring anybody's business into here, but there was this girl who was dating somebody that I knew, right? This girl was dating this guy that I knew. I knew the guy. And, you know, she's in a relationship with this guy. And I mean, when I say she was stunning, like gorgeous, beautiful girl, right? And kind of like messed up her chances with the guy. And the guy ends up coming around full circle later and seeing the girl. And basically what I'm just going to use as like a lower situation than what she was before. And now she's like trying to talk back to him. And the guy was like, nah, I'm good off of you. And I think it just goes to show that like a lot of women get fooled with that, you know, being the pick of the litter. Like, oh yeah, like every guy wants me. I'm so hot. And like they really think that that is exactly how it's going to be for the rest of their life. And unfortunately, that is not true. Okay. You're not always going to be the number one draft pick. Okay. And when you are in that situation, when you are young, stop trying to turn up your nose and act like you all of that. And like, you shouldn't be looking for options of, you know, if you want to be married, to have a husband at that time, because these guys who are checking for you, it's very rare that they're going to come back and spin the block. Worse if you have children, right? Worse if you're a divorcee, or if you had children and now it's like, hey, like I had my kids and I did this and I'm a divorcee or whatever, but now I'm willing to have that relationship with you. And this guy's like, yeah, but now I have all this baggage. So I agree with what he's saying.
Feel bad for her. That was her choice. She made her bed lie in it.
I didn't lose sleep over it, but I constantly think of it because these are, now that I'm 41, I know girls in their late 30s, early 40s who are still single, and I'm like,
I have a question.
Go ahead, Coco. I don't know if I, struck a chord there, but go ahead.
No, it's for them. She's 31. She's not 60. Okay?
No, not at all. Coco's a high.
I do not care about being 40 and whatever. Question for them. Would you, let's say if you get a divorce, would you consider that as defeat? Like you didn't?
Yes. Yeah. You should be upset. I am divorced. That's a ding on my record. That is a failure. I failed. I mean, he also failed. You know, I'm not bent out of shape about it because I got the man of my dreams. But you should look at divorce as a failure. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You chose poorly, and now you've wasted each other's time.
Interesting.
Would you say it's a failure if you were able to give birth to children and like your children ended up in like a good place and they have a successful future? In the sense, like, for example, like you have people who get married and then they find out this other person is not who they are, right? And then kids come out of it.
Right.
And the kids turn out great, successful, and all that stuff. Would you still say that it was a failure, or would you say that it's a success?
No, it's still a failure. It's beautiful that the children are here. Most parents don't regret their kids that innately, but it is still a failure. You chose poorly, you reproduced, now these children don't have a father in the home, but we're so used to it, we think that it's okay, but the outcomes are still negative.
So this is where I want to insert my opinions. Okay. Is it a failure of the sort? Yes, because you went into this with the idea that you guys were going to be together for the long haul, and you failed to do so. You know, you went into the marriage saying that you and I are going to be married forever, and we failed to be married forever. Forever turned into 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, whatever it was. So you failed to do what you embarked on doing in the beginning of the relationship. Yes, but not every divorce is because of necessarily choosing the wrong person. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you don't know who that person is until you guys get married because you had not good in the vetting process, or that person was only showing their representative and then all of a sudden the mask came off and the gloves came off. Also, change. Okay, this person has just grown, and who you guys were at 20. When you guys are at 30, this person is just a completely different person. You guys grow separately. So there are different aspects than just choosing the wrong person. There are for sure instances where people just get married and they knew for a fact it wasn't going to work and they still get married. Absolutely. But there are different facets to marriage. So it's not necessarily just one reason why, but going to the finish line saying you're going to be married forever and then not being married forever, you failed at that commitment.
Grew up in a single mother home. I had a lot of risk factors that I had to solve myself in the dating market. And that's something that doesn't get talked about. It's all about this eat, pray, love. And that's not to say, stay in a relationship and be miserable, but sometimes you got to make your bed and lie in it, and you got to be roommates.
Well, because when you have kids, it's not about you anymore.
So I agree that, you do have to sometimes make your bed, lie in it. I agree that, people definitely have to learn how to stick things through. But I also agree that there's certain levels, right? There's counseling, there's couple counseling, there's therapy, there's communication, trying to work on it between you two. But I also don't want to act like there's no room for people to get divorced, because that's not realistic in real life. Because sometimes there's people who were married, made the decision to be together, and it is a lot healthier for the child to grow up and not see toxicity in their lifestyle, rather than them growing up just for the sake of mommy and daddy being together, and then they grow up and create a relationship with somebody that mirrors the relationship that they've seen, which is toxic. Y'all don't get along, y'all don't hug, y'all are unaffectionate, y'all don't like each other, you guys are always at each other's neck, and that doesn't work as well. So I think that we have to be more intentional with who we are getting into relationships with, who we are marrying, the vetting process, getting to actually know each other, not trying to abide by this whole 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. No, really diving in and knowing the person that you're going to be in a relationship with before you marry them and before you procreate with them. It doesn't mean that divorce won't still exist. It doesn't mean that people still won't, be that representative person and then become something else. Of course, all that will still exist. However, when we look at the ratio, it will drastically be different. Drastically. But I want to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Definitely want to hear you guys' opinions on this one. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And of course, hit that post notification bell. It does notify you every single time that I post. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you.